But you said something I think really profound that people need to lean into more. And part of our mission here is to obliterate shame and activate purpose.
Amen.
And shame, I think, is that same like core wound concept of what you're talking about. But you said that you help her be okay with the fact that, yeah, she might be a little stupid. Right. And my mom would hate to say that word. That was like a bad word in my mouth, in my home. So saying it even, but I understand the concept. But a lot of times what we call ourselves, there is an element of truth, whether it was what somebody else projected on us or not, because now it's true to us, whether
Right.
it's God's truth or not. Right. And so I
Exactly.
love the way that you said that we become okay with that and the pendulum between point A and point B and everywhere in between. And I think that that's a huge part of core wound and shame work in and of itself.
Years ago, I was at the International Coach Federation chapter in San Francisco. I was president of the organization. We brought speakers in each year. We brought Debbie Ford in, uh, who at the time was a big shadow work teacher. She's since deceased, but she told this story of her 13-year-old son who came home from middle school and said, "Mom, all the boys at school called me stupid today." And she goes, "Well, you are stupid, honey." And he's like, "What?" She goes, "Yeah, haven't you ever done anything that's stupid?" "Yeah, I guess." "All right. Have I ever done anything that's stupid?" He goes, "Yeah." Right?
Yep.
"Are the boys at school calling you stupid? Stupid?" "Yeah." "All right, great. So they're stupid. I'm stupid. You're stupid. Are you also smart?" "Yeah." "Are you also creative?" "Yeah." "Are you also a great athlete?" "Yeah."
Yeah.
"Great. So you're smart and stupid and a great athlete." Like,
Yeah.
it's taking the power away from you.
Yes.
You
Yes.
know, it's taking the deactivating the grenade. So, like, okay, that can be part of the
Yes.
mix. It's not like, as a child of God, is it true fundamentally that I'm stupid? No, but can I do stupid things
Sure.
sometimes? Sure.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
it's that piece where it's like it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be off limits anymore. And when it doesn't have to be off limits, we can stop fighting it. And that frees up our energy to be in service to our purpose.
Same with shame and secrecy, right? So it's
Absolutely.
so good. And so you speak to purpose, and I would be remiss not to ask you, because I'm super curious about the co-founding of the Purpose Institute in Israel that you did.
Yeah.
And where in the timeline was that project in association to what you're doing now?
Um, so that was probably like 2008. Uh, I was so blessed when I started my coaching career. Maybe 2 years in, I met this guy, Tim Kelly, who's this just amazing visionary around life purpose work. And he took me under his wings. Like, I was the first person ever to get trained in his work. We had a true apprentice model. Um, I showed up at all his trainings, like, "Hi, I'm here. I'm just going to help."
Can I
Right.
sit front to front row
Right.
at teacher's pet?
Like, well, it was just his work just mapped onto my psyche like an
Yeah,
octopus, like, it
so
just
cool.
all made sense. And because basically his work says, first of all, to find your purpose, we need to acknowledge that your conscious mind doesn't know your purpose. If it did,
Mhm.
it wouldn't be asking, "What's my purpose?"
Yeah.
And so much of the purpose work in the world uses your mind to try to figure it out by using memory and imagination. When was the time you were most alive? Or if you had a year left to live, what would you do and why? Uh, that's memory and imagination still in your conscious mind.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
he says, well, what if there was a source of wisdom outside of your conscious mind that could know your purpose and tell it to you? In his work, it is kind of religiously agnostic. So when I
Okay.
work with a Christian, it might be Jesus,
Yeah.
right? Uh, when I work, I remember asking somebody recently who didn't grow up with any faith, and I said, "What would that be for you?" And he said, "The seat of my consciousness." So, no, all right, great, right? So, what we work inside their belief system,
Right.
um, and use tools to get them connected to this larger source of wisdom, and ask specific questions about 4 different aspects of their purpose, and basically access it to bring it into their conscious mind. The thing that blew me away in his work is he also says the conscious mind is actually reluctant to hear that voice, to hear that wisdom, because it's going to upend your life as you know it. So we take that into account and do some psychological work to help the psyche feel safe about connecting to this source of wisdom and downloading purpose. So I did that work with him. And in one of our online trainings, a few people from Israel were there, and their guidance, their trusted sources, that's the language we use, your trusted source, told them they were meant to bring us to Israel. And Tim's response was, okay, great. You fill a room, you book it, right? Get it all set, and we're there. Because you
Yeah.
never know if
Why
people,
not?
right?
Oh, yeah,
Like,
no,
okay,
I
that's cute that you're meant
know.
to bring us to Israel, but are you actually committed to it?
Yeah.
It wasn't not long after that. They're like, okay, it's these dates. We have the space set up, set aside. They had movers and shakers in Israel engaged in coming to the event.
Wow.
And we flew over and led
Wow.
our first event in Israel. And that led to founding an institute for this work in Israel. Eventually, we actually worked with another coaching company and trained their whole team and licensed the work to them. Um,
So cool.
but it was really, really neat to bring that work to Israel. And one of the funny things when I started working with Israelis is sometimes the guide that will come to you in this work isn't the one you anticipate. And so, like, Jesus would come to some of them. They're like, I'm Jewish. I'm like, yeah, so is he. Like, okay,
Like, it's okay.
right.
There's
Sure.
buddies,
Right.
actually.
So anyway, no, it was really, really good. And since then, we primarily Tim, but we've both done some work with politicians in Israel, and doing work to find the higher purpose of the country. Um, so it's been very, very neat to see what I think. There's a lot of work that I think Israel and the conflicts around Israel and resolving those are fundamental to our future. They're also thousands of years old.
Yeah.
And so I think the only way that that might happen is the intervention of spiritual consciousness
So good.
into, and really know what Tim's whole point when he's worked with different people in the Knesset and whatnot is like, hey, you guys know what you're fighting against, but what are you really fighting for? What's the higher purpose of Israel as a country in this world today? So that we can move towards something instead of away from what we don't want.
Powerful.
Yeah.
That's a message to every individual entity, right? I
Yeah.
mean, that's so good.
Yeah.
I know that we're closing in on time here, and I want to just ensure that you were able to share what you hope to, and additionally to get people invested into what it is that you have going, what mission, what movement. I know you've got multiple podcasts. The Activate show I'm super interested in. Your Activate Tuesdays, is that actually on a podcast platform, or it's just within a Facebook group?
So that's in the Facebook group and on my
Okay.
website. Then I
Okay.
also have the Jeffrey Van Dyke Show, which is where I interview other trailblazers and innovators about their work and how they got there. I just on Sunday launched a new album, an EP called You Belong. So
Awesome.
that's on Spotify and Apple Music and all the places you get music.
Awesome.
Um, and other than that, just everything's on thecourageousmessenger.com. On the homepage, there's a download, a pretty in-depth PDF I'll send to people on finding the 1 square inch they can drill a mile deep, that place of having no competition.
Yeah, I
So they
love
can
that.
just grab that there if they're interested in learning more about that process.
Well,